Shalom, shalom, Israel, shalom. It's your brother Raya. I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Ba'ashima Mashiach, Malak Yahushua. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that go out there and labor on the highways and byways, making their body a living sacrifice. In the rain, the tumults, the demons, the uprisings, the uproars, they're out there standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that don't go out there as of yet, but are building themselves up by reading, praying, fasting, being diligent, doing everything they can do to put themselves in a position to shake the hand and wake up the hopeful elect. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty Akwaf in this thing that actually reverence their husbands, being teachers of good things to the children at home, being quiet, shamefaced, submissive, loving, steadfast, cooking, sewing, cleaning, doing all of the righteous acts of our foremothers on fire for the Lord. Another strong shalom to all of the Akwaf that are not married as of yet, but building themselves up, being shamefaced, submissive, loving, doing everything they could do to magnify the ministry. Another strong shalom to all of the children in this thing, abstaining from all lust, concupiscence, and peer pressure, standing 10 toes down for the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Last but not least, another strong shalom to everybody in the nation in the last days that's watching, man, on the edge of their seats, on the world events, the news, the uprises, the uproars, everything that's going on, man. They ready to get the hell out of here, man. And they patiently waiting, you understand, the downfall of America and all of these demonic nations, man. And we're going to jump straight into it. Well, I'm going to share my screen. Bear with me. And give me a con if you can see my screen. Say con if you can see my screen. Right, we jumping straight into it. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 130. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 130, right? And verse number 1. And you got to be watching in these last days. If you're not watching, hitting that refresh button and staying up to date with what's going on, brother, you're going to get relaxed in Babylon, man. You're going to think you got another 1,000 years here. Your spirit won't be on the edge of your seat. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 130, and verse number 5. I wait for the Lord. My soul doeth wait, and in his word do I hope. A lot of brothers don't hope in the Lord, man. They hope in a new thing that's about to drop, shoes. They hoping in jewelry. They putting their lust and their desires in Babylon, man. They're not hoping for these prophecies. Because in actuality, these prophecies is a part of what? The word of God. These things and these events and these tornadoes, these tsunamis, US dollar dropping, all of these things is prophecy, man. Inflation, right? Back breaking of all of these celebrities, man. World news. These things are linking up with the scriptures. You have to hope into those things. If you don't hope into it and put your trust into it and be on the edge of your seat, well, brother, I don't know what to tell you, man. These are very exciting times that we're living in, man. And every brother that's on fire for the Most High, why Yahweh Shah, can feel the same way. Let's go to the book of Psalms, right? Chapter 102. And I'm going to start at verse 6. It says this: I am like a pelican of the wilderness. I am like an owl of the desert. I watch. And that's exactly what they do, man. Those pelicans and those owls, they'll be sitting in trees for hours, man. You'll think they're a statue. They don't move. They're just sitting up there, zeroed in to their prey, zeroed in to noises, zeroed in to nightlife, trying to figure out their next move. Because they're sitting up on a high branch, symbolic for a high tower, and they're just watching all day, man. And it's spiritual because why? They're in a desert. We're in a desert, man. Babylon the Great is a desert. It's a desert place. That's Psalm chapter 63 and verse 1. Right, but let's jump straight into it. It's the book, right, Salaki, that's the spirit. Right, this end time headlines, right? If you don't know, well, now you know. Get up on end time headlines. It's a very nice, good source of information and prophecy, man. It says rumors of war. The clock is ticking and China is preparing for war. So while you're worrying about Kyrie Irving, is he going to spend $500,000 or not? Is he going to continue to get back braked and butt broken, right? And all of these damn things, you're sitting up there counting his checks and his money and trying to break into his account. World War III is on the rise, man. These things are going down right before our eyes. And that's what the so-called white man want us to do. They want us to forget about what's going on. They want us to be dialed into folly, foolishness, and madness and forget that war is on the rise, man. Hey, these things are going to catch us like a thief in the light. Right, let's get that in the book of 1 Thessalonians, right, chapter 5. Let's go to it. And it may get distressful sometimes to continue to watch. You're sitting up there, you're in your edge of your seat, then you back down. Then you get, oh, okay, I guess it's not happening. Then you get on the edge of your seat, you think something's about to kick off, and then it die back down. But you got to stay on the edge of your seat, man. It's the book of First Thessalonians, right? Chapter 5 and verse number 1. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For ye yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night, man. And you got to really have a spirit when you read that. Because the Lord's not going to tell you when these things are going to happen. It's just going to happen. It's just going to be a bomb. It's going to be a damn so-called missile defense agency. They're kicking off World War III. These things are going to happen while you either sleep, while you folded your hands, while you're watching TV, while you dropped off. Don't let social media and other men keep you on the edge of your seat, man. Don't let it be the talk of the town. Stay on it while everybody else is slothful. They're sleeping. They're not watching. It says, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction. And right now, things are so-called dying down. You may think the war with Russia, you understand Ukraine, Taiwan, China, all of these different countries and confederacies are dying down as if World War III is not on the rise, as if these things aren't going to come to pass. It says, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So a woman may be so-called pregnant for a dispensation of time awaiting her day. And she may watch for the third because she may be pregnant, but then the third pass. And she may watch for the fourth, then the fourth pass. And she may say in the back of her mind, well, maybe this baby isn't coming anytime soon, right? Anytime soon. Next thing you know, while she's in the kitchen, all hell breaks loose, man. When she least expected, like a thief in the night. Let's go back to it, right? This is what it says. It says Chinese president, right, in Shandong, right, Japan, has just announced that China will be preparing war, and that should deeply alarm all of us. Needless to say, somebody is going to be attacking China anytime soon. So America's backing down already. It says this. So why would the Chinese need to prepare for war if there's zero chance that they will be attacked? Unfortunately, the answer is obvious. The only reason China would be engaged in a military conflict anytime soon is if it chooses to invade Taiwan, man. Now, if you're not watching, man, they're having talks about this consistently and constantly if they're going to go to war, what America's going to do, how these things are going to kick off, man. And let's get it. All right, let's go right into it. Now, this is so-called from the Pentagon. The official discusses China's timeline for Taiwan invasion. Let's get it.
The reaction that the PRC had to Speaker Pelosi's visit, which was quite a profound reaction. I don't think in the near term that China is planning to invade Taiwan.
He said, I don't think in the near future China's going to invade Taiwan. Well, how in the hell would you know that, man? Well, they're sitting up there folding their damn hands together, man, playing checkers and cards under the table. China says they're preparing for war. So why are they telling the general public things that are a lie?
I think they want to apply coercive pressure on Taiwan. I think they want to establish a new normal around Taiwan. I think they want to put pressure on the international community to acquiesce to China's policy toward Taiwan. I'm confident they want to do all of those things. I don't think in the next, couple of years they're likely to invade Taiwan. But you never know. In the next couple of years, I think there could be an incident. I think one of the things we're watching very closely is that the PLA Navy and the PLA Air Force have been, especially the Air Force, have been increasingly engaged in unsafe and unprofessional activities in the air. I think in the period after that, clearly some of the ways in which the PRC reacted to the Speaker Pelosi visit were meant to test drive various maritime, air, and missile activities that might be involved in a blockade of Taiwan, and they bracketed the island in ways. So perhaps that's a scenario. I don't think that Xi Jinping has made a decision to forcefully, take over.
So this is what America is saying. They're twiddling their thumbs and they're confounded. They don't know what China's next move is. That's see the spirit that China's in, man. And this is what they're telling the general public. Now, I know behind closed doors, you got somebody that's not seen, somebody that's making decisions, right? Some type of general, some type of man in leadership position that's sitting up there. He's behind the fences in the trenches. He's over in these diverse places, getting a real understanding of what's going on, man. This is what China is saying.
Tensions are rising between China and Taiwan since Nancy Pelosi's visit to the island.
Now, China's saying things are uprising. Oh, hell is breaking loose. This is India today. Meaning what? You can't trust America's news all the time, man. America isn't going to tell you the truth. You know what they're going to tell you? Peace and safety. When soon sudden destruction is coming, man. They're not going to tell you everything is in an uproar, that they're about to go for cover and they're going to the underground bunkers and they're preparing for World War III. You know what they're going to try to do? They're going to try to calm down the general public because they know once the general public is in an uproar, then all hell breaks loose, man. People are leaving their jobs, breaking into so-called buildings and gas stations and food markets, and it's everything is in an uproar.
China has broken into Taiwan airspace more than 20 times.
They have broken into Taiwan's airspace over 20 times.
More than 20 times. If a war is unleashed, Taiwan is likely to fall short against China. Here's a look into China's 5 most powerful weapons that can set the tone if there is a war.
Now they're going into China's most powerful weapons. America's not going to show you this. Nope, they're not going to show you these things. You have to go into foreign relations. You have to go into foreign policies. You got to go into foreign news. You got to go into these foreign channels and things on YouTube as well to watch, man. You don't want to have all your resources right from the beast's mouth. I mean, because the Lord said they're liars, man. They're blaspheming.
Number 1 is China's hypersonic glide.
So China has hypersonic missiles.
This is a DF-Z7 model. It is a precision strike weapon. It is capable of delivering nuclear weapons. This weapon can be fitted to various Chinese ballistic missiles. AG-600 is the world's largest seaplane.
Now they got seaplanes. They got seaplanes, hypersonic missiles.
It can operate on ground and water.
So don't think that America is the only one that has so-called Navy, Air Force, right? SWAT, and all of these diverse different sets of their military, man. So do so-called China, man, and all of these different diverse nations.
It is 129 feet long and has a wingspan of 127.3 feet. The seaplane's speed is 500,000 per hour and its range is 4,500 kilometers. China has 15 of these landing ships. They are amphibious in nature. They can carry up to 30 attack helicopters per dock.
30 attack helicopters, man.
Can carry.
And you know these things are made with some type of iron that you can't pierce through, man.
Up to 30 attack helicopters per dock. Its length is 778 feet and the beam is 118 feet.
So I'm bringing this out to show you one thing. That you cannot get on these so-called American channels and watch their so-called news and think that everything's okay, man. Because in actuality, man, hey, these other nations, they're preparing for war.
There's not much information on the stealth bomber,
but it has
a range of 8,500 kilometers.
And that's spiritual too, because they said it's not a lot that they could talk about this stealth bomb, meaning they don't know that much about it, man.
It has a range of 8,500 kilometers. It is nuclear capable and can threaten US targets. This weapon is said to be under development. Golden Eagle is an unmanned airship. Since China has a lack of pilots, this breaks their way. It can fly at a speed of 100 kilometers per hour. It can stay in the air for up to 6 hours. Its length is 50 feet and height is 16.
For more information,
check that out, man. And that's just one video, one channel, one resource out of India's Today television, man. So India knows what's going on. China knows what's going on. Taiwan knows what's going on. But in America, they're giving you lies. They're feeding you nothing but folly and madness, man. So you can eat it all up and feel like everything's okay, man. So your 89-year-old grandmother can continue to bake her cookies, man. It's not time for that. You got to continue to stay on the edge of your seat and watch these things, man. Because they're not going to sleep. They're getting prepared for war. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah, right, chapter 50, and I'm going to start at verse number 9. right? And it reads, for lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, right? Meaning like the northern hemisphere. Now you have literally on a physical level, you have Babylon, right? And then you have what? The Perso-Medo Empire. But on a double, deep, dark, terrible, and with the Most High is going into a prophecy, man, you're going to have the northern hemisphere, man. And if you don't know about the northern hemisphere, we're going to go into it. Just the northern hemisphere. Now, from the north countries, you're going to have all of these countries, primarily from the northern hemisphere, coming up, huh? Which is in what? It's in Asia, Europe, right? It's in Russia. All of these different countries, they're coming up. Now, the southern hemisphere is not really much into that. But the north country all the way up is Asia. And they're coming up for Babylon, man. I don't think that they're just sitting around playing video games all day, working on their new China techniques. All hell was about to break loose, man. Let me go back to it. It says, North country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrow shall be as a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. And we just got some of their stealth weapons, some of their helicopters, some of their sea missiles, and all of these different diverse things that they're going into, man. Now, going back to this, it says that it wouldn't be an attack unless China invades Taiwan. Now, reading on, it says the moment such an invasion is launched, the U.S. and China will be at war. So, I mean, essentially, we just have to watch the foreign relation policy, man. What's going on? Is China sitting up there trying to invade Taiwan? Is Taiwan sitting up there getting ready for war? Right? What's going on with the United States? Right? You have to watch these different things. Now, I want to go into something. Now, the US dollar is dropping in value. If you didn't know, the US dollar is dropping in value, man. Hey, money's fading out. You don't even see people, the only people you see with money nowadays is rappers. They're holding it up to the air. You're throwing it in the air. When the last time you had some money, man? When you gave it to your child so they can go to the ice cream truck? When the last time you had money in your pocket? Hey, the US dollar, these things are dropping, man. These different nations are cutting off their ties with America, and it's dropping slowly but surely. Since 1933, the US dollar has lost 92% of its domestic purchasing power, man. And that's some foreign places. You may go to Taiwan, Mulan, Dubai, and then the currency changes. But nobody wants to do trade, nor does the American dollar have the same power that it once did. Even at its moderate in 1994 inflation rate of 2.7%, the U.S. will lose another half of its purchasing power by 2022, man. And what? America's broke, man. The cat is out the bag. America's broke. Now, when you go into this, it says China's slice of the America's debt pie. So America's in debt with China. That's a whole nother reason they're going to go to war, man. From Taiwan, you understand they're Confederate with the United States, on top of them owing China's debt, man. Now, let's go into it. It says, get ready for the statistics. China owns $981 billion in U.S. debt. That means we owe China nearly $1 trillion. So U.S. owes China, man. U.S. isn't this place like it once was with the nice breeze and the birds chirping. And then the Indian man says, you know what? Let's go through China. Then he gets up, he gets on his damn so-called yacht, and then he sails over. And the Chinese man, and he took off his ancient garment, he put a suit on, right? He took his chopsticks, he threw them away, and he started shaking the hand. Then he went to China. Then all of the different nations, they come to the so-called American cesspool, and then they make it in the land of fun and dreams. In American society and Hollywood and NFL and basketball, those days are over, man. It says, while this number may seem large, the total of the U.S. Treasury's outstanding is more than $30 trillion. So they're over $30 trillion in debt, man. it says China isn't even the largest foreign holder of American debt, meaning they owe a lot more other nations than they owe China. It isn't, they're not just in debt amongst themselves for just doing God knows what. They're giving away money in Taiwan. They're giving away money in Ukraine that they don't have. They're owing China over $981 billion in debt amongst other nations, man. Now, let me bring this out real fast. Because America, back in the day, it used to be famous in trade. Just like Tyre and ancient Zidon. Let's go into it, man. Let's go to the book. Let's go to Isaiah. Let's go straight into it, man. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 23. Right? It's the book of Isaiah chapter 23. As a matter of fact, before I get that, I want to get Jeremiah chapter 51. I'm going to pull this quick precept. It's the book of Jeremiah chapter 51, right? I'm going to start at verse 11. It says, make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord have raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes for his devices against Babylon, to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple, man. So the Lord is rising up the spirit of these diverse nations to do what? To destroy America, to come against America. America is the well-favored harlot, man. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 23 and verse 15. Right? It says this, and it shall come to pass in that day that Tyre shall be forgotten 70 years. Now, ancient Tyre and Zidon were the beauty of the ancient world. They literally sat right on the seacoast where they did a lot of merchant trade between a lot of different cities and a lot of different countries. And they were literally rich and beautiful in their own understanding. And their heart got lifted up by amount of money and trade that they did. It says they will be forgotten 70 years according to the days of one king. After the end of 70 years, shall Tyre sing like a harlot. Now, when it's talking about sing like a harlot, that means come back as America, seducing and manipulating by singing. Because the sound of the harp, the sound of the sorcery, the sound of this world and this witchcraft is nothing less but by manipulation by the spiritual demon Satan to corrupt the minds of the innocent, man. And what do? They dance right along to the beat and they get seduced. That's why the Lord said, don't use much company to the woman that is a singer in the book of Sirach, the 9th chapter. I don't necessarily have to get it, but why? Because she'll sing and allure you and sift you out. Now, Tyre is nothing more than America all over again. It says this, and when you go into it, this actually happened. Because when Tyre came out of power, it never came back into power. Because Nebuchadnezzar came up against it and destroyed it. And after Nebuchadnezzar took it down, Tyre, they never came back into power. Verse 16 says, take an harp, go about the city, thou harlot, that thou hast been forgotten. Make sweet melodies, sing many songs. Meaning, come back to that same spirit. Jog up the spirit of the Greeks. Jog up the spirit of the Roman Empire. Jog up the spirit of ancient Tyre, ancient Zidon, ancient Egyptians, all of these different diverse kingdoms, and jog up the mentality and the minds that they used to do to seduce people, to lie, their witchcraft, their manipulation, their high drones, right? All of their buildings, their infrastructures, their cities, their military might, all of the spirit that they walked in, sing many songs, meaning allure you. It says that thou mayest be remembered. It shall come to pass that after the end of 70 years, and 70 is a number of completion, that the Lord will visit Tyre, and she shall return to her hire, and shall commit fornication with all the kingdoms of the world. Name one place America's not, man. America's everywhere. When you actually go into it, and I'm going to get this quick precept in Habakkuk, right? America's everywhere, man. Let's go to Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse number 4. I'm going to get this quick precept, and I'm going to prove that America's everywhere. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Yet also because he transgresseth by wine, meaning his philosophy. This is his sin. This is his great transgression. That's what it means. He transgresseth by wine, meaning this is this man's sin, his doctrines, his philosophies, his witchcraft. He is a proud man, meaning he's puffed up. He thinks he's the most high. Neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desires as hell. I mean, he can never have enough, man. Now you may ask yourself, well, where's America at, man? Now check this out. I'm going to go all the way to the top real fast. This is the list of wars involving the United States, right? And so-called pink or red, U.S. got defeated, and green, U.S. has got the victory, and yellow is ongoing. And so-called purple is another result, whether it be peace, or conflict, or whatever the case may be. Now we're going to scroll all the way down to the 21st century. And this is what America's doing. And this is the 21st century wars, man. All of these wars are ongoing as we speak. I don't think it's just China. I don't think it's just so-called Russia, man. Right? You got the war in Afghanistan, the allies, belligerents. But as we keep going, you got ongoing wars, like the American intervention in Yemen from 2002 to present. When you have U.S. soldiers all the way to Yemen, man, to this very day, going all the way down. You got Iraq war. We know about that one. Another ongoing war. Second U.S. intervention in the Somatic Civil War from 2007 going on to this very day. So they're all the way in Etri somewhere, man. Going all the way down again. Now, these are different diverse wars. They've been in Iraq. So like they've been in Iraq. Another ongoing war in Syria. So America got his hand in so much at one time. America gangbangs, man. We understand you got the European Union, you got the NATO, you got CISTO, you got the American Slovakia, you got the African Union, right? And you got all of these different things. You got BRICS, right? And you got all of these different empires rather coming together, forming treaties and alliances. But America is going to war, man, in Syria from 2014 to present. Over 11,200 American allied airstrikes hit, I'm not going to say the word, and other extremist groups within Syria. So this is still ongoing. So when the Mossad said that he keepeth not at home, that's true. You got American troops. They're all the way in Syria. You got American troops. Some of them in Etri. You got American troops, right? They're in Taiwan. American troops in Afghanistan. You got American troops in Ukraine. So America's not keeping at home, man. They're engaging their war throughout the earth. Let's go back to it. It says this. Neither keepeth at home who enlargeth his desires as hell, and is as death and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. So he heaps unto himself all people, man. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel, where I want to get this quick precept, chapter 27, just to go into that, man. Because U.S. back in the day, right, used to do a whole lot of trade, and they was very wealthy and rich, just like Tyree. It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 27. It's the same spirit of ancient Tyree. It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 27, right? And I'm going to start at verse number 3, right? And it reads, it says, and thou, Salakia, and say thou unto Tyrus, thou that art statuate at the entry of the sea. And that's spiritual, because the beginning of the sea, meaning the nations on a deeper level, he's the beginning of it, the border of it. He's at the entry of it, the entry of wickedness, to lead to all of the other different diverse nations, which are a merchant of the people for many hours. Because they used to be merchants and they used to be rich and do a lot of trade, but now they're in debt. Now they owe all of these different nations. Thus saith the Lord God, O Tyrus, thou hast said, I am of a perfect beauty. And why do they say they're of a perfect beauty? Because why? They ruled the seas in the ancient world. Tyree used to rule the sea. When you go into book of Ezekiel, chapter 28 and verse 1, it tells you that. You understand? It says, thy borders are in the midst of the seas. Thy builders have perfected thy beauty. So the builders, the men that shaped, they did trade, they got money. And then as you read, these are all the ancient shipments. All of the trade that they did, all of the money, the wealth. You understand? You have iron, brass, zinc, copper, all of these different diverse metals, as well as diamonds and minerals and oils and things that they did trade with. The same as America does trade to this very day, man. And I want to jump to verse 32. It says, and in their wailing, they shall take up a lamentation for thee and lament over thee, saying, what city is like Tyrus, like the destroyed in the midst of the sea? And that's spiritual, because Tyre never got destroyed in the sea. Nebuchadnezzar came in the land and destroyed them, man. It's all spiritual, meaning you're going to get destroyed in the midst of everybody to see you, man. The same way it says that in the book, right, of 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter, man. And I want to further prove that. And I want to link that up through the spirit, right? Let me get this quick precept. All right, Salaki, bear with me. And I want to further prove that through the spirit. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel, chapter 26. And I'm going to start at verse, this whole thing is fire. I'm going to start at 3. And it reads, I'm going to start at 2. Son of man, because that Tyrus have said against Jerusalem, aha, she is broken. And Tyre is nothing more than America. And America laughs at us, man. They laugh at us being niggas. They laugh at us being so-called spicks. They laugh at the condition that our people are in, man. They make a spectacle of Kyrie Irving. They're sitting up there laughing at him, man. Amalek is sitting up there back-breaking him in front of the world, man. He's sitting up there deleting tweets. He's sitting up there not standing strong for the word. And that's putting a spirit on people, man, that don't know the truth. Well, maybe this isn't the truth. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to follow him and whatever he says. It says she is broken. That was the gates of the people. So America used to be the gates of the people, the strength, the beginning. She is turned into me, and I shall be replenished. Now she is laid waste. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, I am against thee, O Tyrus, and will cause many nations to come up against thee, as the sea causeth his waves to come up. And many seas are coming up to America to this very day. Like we went on, you got all of these ongoing wars and all of these confederacies happen at the drop of a dime, man. Now, I'm not going to read on from there. I want to hold that, right? And I'm going to go to the book of Revelation, the 18th chapter. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 18. And I'm going to start at verse 11. Before I get that, I'm going to pull up something real fast. Now, check this out. Now, everybody's pulling away from America. America used to be like this with. Why? Because it was Tyre. It was Zidon in the midst of the seas. Everyone did trade. It was the perfected of beauty. And his heart was high by all of the riches and shipments that it had. But nevertheless, what's going on in America now? Let me pull back from there a little bit.
Joe Biden has never spoken to MBS. In February, when asked about the high gas prices, Biden said, and I'm quoting, "There's a lot of Middle Eastern folks who want to talk to me. I'm not sure I'm going to talk to them."
It's a lot of Middle Eastern people that want to talk to me. I don't know if I want to talk to them. This is U.S. and Saudi Arabia ties. So they're cutting ties with a lot of their people, with a lot of their different trades. And what does Saudi Arabia do in the Middle Easterns? Right? Let me get this real quick. Let's go to BRICS countries. You got Russia, China, India, Brazil, and South Africa. They do a lot of economic trades and they help each other. So everything isn't always military. And they're sitting up there cutting their ties with the only different amount of nations that can help them with trade. America can't sustain itself. This is not a rich land. This isn't Africa. This isn't Brazil. This isn't India or China, rather. Huh? Let me go back to that. Salaki, bear with me. What's that at? Okay, come.
But that off-the-cuff remark could now hurt Joe Biden. The crisis in Ukraine could disrupt global energy supplies. Global oil prices are on fire. Washington could have used Riyadh's help right now, and Team Biden did reach out to Saudi Arabia. Top officials were dispatched to Riyadh last month. America wanted Saudi Arabia to pump more oil. The kingdom has refused to help. Riyadh will release no additional supplies. The result is this. Yesterday, global prices for one barrel of oil almost touched $120, the highest in more than a decade. Riyadh's shift away from the US is already yielding results. It stands to make big gains.
It says on current trends, the kingdom will earn $375 billion pumping oil this year, the second highest amount ever.
From high oil prices. I have some numbers. Saudi Arabia controls 55% of the world's crude oil supply at present rates. Riyadh is projected to earn $375 billion from oil this year. This is the kingdom's second highest collection ever. Let me put that number into perspective. Saudi Arabia earned $145 billion from pumping oil in 2021. In 2022, it will earn $375 billion. It's a jump of more than 150%. As a candidate, Joe Biden vowed to make Mohammed bin Salman a pariah, but the Saudi crown prince turned this crisis into an opportunity. He is mounting a comeback on the world stage. With money in the bank, Saudi Arabia wants to chart its own course on foreign policy. MBS wants to be a player in the Ukraine crisis. This week, he spoke with both Putin and Zelensky, and he's offered to mediate between Russia and Ukraine. At the UN General Assembly, Riyadh voted against Russia and condemned the Russian invasion. MBS also wants to directly deal with Saudi Arabia's arch-rival Iran. And this is what he said about Iran. Allow me to quote again.
Well, I want to hold that, and I want to get this real fast as well. Right? So all of these different nations, man, they're coming against America, man. And this thing is extremely deep when you're going into it. So you got to keep watch and understand these things. Now, we just read right on End Time Headlines that it won't be a war with China unless they attack Taiwan. Now, going into the U.S. relations with Taiwan. The United States and Taiwan share similar values, deep commercial and economic links, and strong people-to-people ties, which from the bedrock of our friendship serve as the impetus of the expanding U.S. engagements with Taiwan. So we're not going to read this whole thing, but they have a strong relationship, man. And it goes past, just a confederacy. They have economic ties, as well as people-to-people and engagements, as well as military ties, man. So if any breach is set with Taiwan, America's diving in, man. And America's not going to use common sense. They're not going to say, well, we're not going to be able to win this war. They're going to fight anyway. That's the pride of the so-called white man. Now, I want to get this quick precept. Let's go to Habakkuk. Matter of fact, I'm going to read Revelations and then go to Habakkuk. It's the book of Revelations 18 and 11. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. The US dollar's going down. Nobody really wants to do trade with America. I believe when you go into it, they said they'll run out of oil around so-called 2040 something, man. And God forbid we're even here that long. So they're even projecting their oil ratio of running out. It says the merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones, and of pearls and fine linen, and purple and silk and scarlet, and all thine wood, and all manner of vessels of ivory, and all manner of vessels of precious wood, and brass and iron and marble, and cinnamon and odors, and ointments and frankincense, and wine and oil, and fine flour and wheat and brass, and sheep, and horses, and chariots, and slaves, and souls of men. These are the whole things that Babylon does trade with, man. And at the end, it's spiritual. It says, and slaves and souls of men. Because souls of men are tied into Babylon the Great. A lot of people, maybe your grandfather, your brother, your old friends, their spirit is actually tied and a slave to Babylon. And you don't even perceive it. Because you literally do what? You love this place. You want it to prosper. You give all your money to it. You go to the concerts. You put your spirit in this place when it's literally a place for what? Unclean birds. Let me get that real fast. This is the book of Revelation 18, right? And I'm going to start at verse number 3. I'm going to start at 2. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean, hateful bird. So in this place, man, if you're not trying to get out of it and escape, hey, the Most High likened you unto an unclean bird, man, like a spirit, a diverse, wicked spirit in this land, man. Let me get the book of Psalms real fast. I don't want to pull this quick precept, but before I get that, I'm going to read on from there. It says, for all nations have drunken of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through her abundance of her delicacies. So as they take from America, they wax rich. Now, I want to pull this up real fast. Let me go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 13. Matter of fact, I want to get 19. Let's go to the book. Well, Isaiah chapter 19. It's the book of Isaiah chapter 19, and I'm going to start at verse number 8. It says this, the fisher also mourneth, and all they that cast angle into the brooks shall lament. So the fisher is the man that's doing what? He's fishing and getting something out of America. He's fishing and getting something out of Egypt. You got a lot of these farmers and these different men and that do trade. They're going into it and they're getting something out of the land. And they that spread their nets upon the waters shall languish. And then they're not going to bring anything in anymore, man. America's on a downfall. This place is finished. Moreover, they that work and find flack, and they that weave needlework shall be confounded. Meaning all of your men, your truck drivers, all your so-called presidencies, everything in the society, like it says in the book of Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, everything shall go down, man. Right? And I want to get this quick precept in Habakkuk, because the Lord spoke about that. Let's go to the book of Habakkuk, chapter 1, and verse number 15. And it reads, it says, they take up all of them with their angle. Meaning the so-called white man, he'll cast his net upon you and he'll drag you in with his angle. They catch them in their net, and they catch the simple-minded. They catch Jake telling them they're African-American. They'll catch you and manipulate your mind with what? With education. They manipulate you with sorcery, casting spells on you. You read about that in Numbers, the 23rd chapter, man. The 22nd chapter. And gather in them, so I can gather them in their drag. And America may gather you up, man, with their philosophies. They gather you up with their religion. They gather you up with all of these tactics, and they corrupt your mind. Therefore, they rejoice and are glad. America rejoices and is glad, but they're not going to be rejoicing and happy too long, man. The Most High done sought them out. If we actually knew all the witchcraft and sorcery that actually was going on in Babylon, man, you would hate this place. You will be on fire. This is what the Lord said. I'm going to come back to that in Habakkuk. This is Revelations 11 and verse number 9. I'm going to start at 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the streets of that great city. And this is our dead bodies lying in this street, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified, man. And check that out. And they of the people and of the kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies. I mean, all of these different nations shall see us in a dead state. See us on drugs, see us dancing and shouting and shucking and jiving at parties and clubs and doing all type of niggotry for 3 days, which is spiritual and a half. Read about that in the book of Hosea, the 6th chapter. And shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. Because according to the law, you have to suffer somebody a proper burial. But we're dead in this land and nobody gives a damn. Nobody's helping us. It says, and they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them. It's the same spirit of ancient Babylon that's happening in what? In America. They're going to rejoice over us in this dead and low estate. So why aren't we rejoicing when they having a downfall? Why not we're rejoicing when all hell was breaking loose with them? When their US dollar is dropping? When they're catching war with China and all of these different diverse places, man? And all of these ongoing wars in Syria, man? You understand? And Yemen. We have to rejoice the same way they rejoiced over our dead bodies, because they're going to be laying stain, man. It says, and they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth. Check that out, man. Let me go back to Habakkuk. It says, and make men as the fishes of the sea and the creepy things which have no ruler over them. Take up all of them with an angle. They catch them in their net. They gather them in their drag. Then they rejoice and are glad. Therefore they sacrifice unto their net. So the Lord said they do sorcery. Because when you sacrifice into something, you're sacrificing unto the same thing that's keeping us down, meaning their net. And what is the net? It's all spiritual. To everything that they're withholding and keeping us from, that we can't break out of, man. And burn incense unto their drag. So, I mean, the Lord telling you right now, these elites, they do sorcery. They bow down. They're calling upon the spiritual demon Satan. You read about that in Revelation, the 13th chapter, man. Let me get this quick precept in Revelation chapter 13. It's Revelation chapter 13, right, in verse number 1. I'm going to read all the way down. Matter of fact, I'm going to get straight to the point, right? Verse number 3. And I saw one of the heads as if it were wounded. One of the heads out of the 7 that were wounded, right? And his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. And that's talking about the Roman Empire. You have the first beast, and then you have the second beast. You have the revised Roman Empire, which is America, right? From the Eastern Roman Empire coming back out after the Western Roman Empire fell in 476 BC. From 476 BC all the way to the Eastern Roman Empire to around the 1500s, right? Where the Dark Ages came into play. Now, literally, one of the wounds was healed, man. It came back as America out of the 7. You got French, Spain, Germany, Russia, Greeks, Romans, and Great Britain, right? Verse 4. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. Who's the dragon? The spiritual demon Satan. They're worshiping the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. These elites deal with sorcery. And they're calling upon these things. How in the world are they making missiles, man? How are they making drones? How are they making submarine things that can go all the way down in the middle of the ocean? Where logic and understanding and pressure will crush you, man. You got certain people that go in their suits and they have to go down only a certain degree before they get crushed with the pressure. That's why if you've seen, what is that cartoon? I think it's, I don't know what it is. But nevertheless, they got these things where they put down and they go into the middle of the ocean so their bodies don't get crushed. That's their submarines and the things like that. How are they building these things? How do they have the understanding to make missiles, potions, so-called medications, and all of these different things, man, to destroy you? It says, and they worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, and who is able to make war with them? You know, who's able to make war with the so-called white man, the Roman Empire? Jumping down to the point, right? It says this. I'm going to get this real fast. This whole thing is fire. I'm going to read 14. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by the sword and did live. So they're making an image to this beast, putting it up, America, flags, imagery, Caesar Borgias, Alexander the Freak, all these different Colosseums, all of these different things, painting up America to be this beautiful place. When actuality is nothing but a big altar where they sacrifice into, man, which every unclean bird dwells in. Going back to Habakkuk chapter 1 and verse 16, therefore they sacrifice unto their neck and burn incense unto their drag, because by them their portion is fat. Check that out, man. So by sorcery, that's how they got riches. How do we get our riches in the ancient world, man? By the Most High. You read about that in the book of Genesis, chapter 26 and verse 12, man. Hey, the Most High made us fat on a spiritual level. Let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 20, right, 6 and verse number 12. So their portion is made fat by sorcery. Our portion is made rich and sustaining ourselves by the Most High. It's the book of Genesis, chapter 26 and verse number 12. Then Isaac sowed in that land and received in the same year 100-fold. So Isaac didn't do sorcery. Isaac didn't call upon this and catch a net and all of these different things. What did Isaac do? He had a clean spirit. He sowed in the land, and the Most High had the land to do what? To yield forth an increase. But how do they get their things? In their war, their flax, their slaves, their zinc, their copper, their iron, their pearls, their ivory, and all of the different things, their cinnamon that you read about in the book of Revelation, the 18th chapter, by sorcery, by manipulation. And the Lord blessed him, and the man waxed great and went forward and grew until he became very great. So we grow in the righteous side. We grow with understanding, riches. We grow off the land. They grow and yield off of their sorcery. Let's go to Revelation chapter 18 and verse 21. Man. It's the book of Revelation chapter 18 and verse 21. And it reads, matter of fact, I'm going to start at 23, get straight to the point. And the light of the candlestick shall shine no more at all in thee, right? So the light of the candlestick is the light of America. And everybody looks at this place like it's light. It says, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be no more heard in thee, at all in thee. And that's talking about mirth. Because at a wedding, you have what? A bridegroom, a bride. You have people around. You have maybe a DJ. You have the organ, the drums, the violin, and all of these different things. And they dance and they commemorate or have mirth, rather, like you read about in the book of Tobit, man. Shall be heard no more at all in thee. For by thy merchants was the great men of the earth. For by thy sorceries were all nations deceived, man. So by sorcery and manipulation was America made rich and fat. So this place got to go down, man. Hey, when you read the book of Nahum, the 2nd chapter, let me get this quick precept. The Lord tells you that, man. It's the book of Nahum, chapter 2. And I'm going to start at verse number 10. Now we know this is going into the Neo-Syrian, right, and Babylon and Nineveh, the ancient city, the capital of Syria, right? But nevertheless, in a twofold spiritual, the Lord is prophesying the destruction of America. She is empty and void and waste, and the heart melted, and the knees smite together. And much pain is in all loins, all the faces of them gather blackness. And this happened around 612, right, BC. But nevertheless, this is happening and going to happen again, man, in a major way. Where is the dwelling of the lions? So the Lord's posing a question. The lions are your chief generals, your captains, your leaders, your presidents, right? All the men that help this society continue to function and grow. The Lord is mocking them. He said, where are your lions? Because the lion is supposed to be the strongest beast. It's supposed to not be afraid of anything. It's supposed to tackle, devour, and rule the jungle, meaning rule the nation, and the feeding place of the young lions. So where are your feeding places? Where are your fields? Where are the chief things that you desire and you once had for your young men? Where the lion, even the old lion, walketh, and the lion's whelp, and none made him afraid. I mean, you used to walk around in this country and nobody made you afraid. You used to poke your chest out. You used to walk with your so-called guns, hut one, hut two. You used to put your hand in the air. You used to do the national anthem, and everybody used to hold their hand over their damn chest. That's sorcery. Dun, 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 dun. Then everybody just, like a spell hopped on, like a spirit hopped on. Dun, dun. You got to stop what you're doing immediately, man. I remember one time I went with this job interview a long time ago, and it was on this army base. And I'm driving. I feel uncomfortable when I'm driving in this army base, but that's where the job was located, in this office, because they had like everything in-house. They had grocery stores. They had everything. Damn Funland and pet stores. I mean, it's like they build this damn city or this life inside of this army base. And I was going to this job opportunity within this army base. And the lady said, you know, if you get the job opportunity, if you get the job, that literally we have this thing where we blow, because they used to have these little whatever they're called, little damn microphone speakers, you know, as you driving. And she says, when the national anthem comes on, you have to pull your car over and show respect. Stop what you're doing and put your hand over your chest and look to the third heaven and say the pledge of allegiance, man. And they said, no, this is mandatory. If you're driving on the road, you have to pull over. You have to stop. You have to lay your hand over your chest and you have to pledge to their gods, man. When she said that, I got the hell out of there, man. That's manipulation. That's sorcery. And they control you without you even knowing sometimes, man. How you going to control what I put in my body and they want to stick you? How you going to control what I teach my children, man? How you going to control how I gesture my hand and what I believe in? This is the society where you get manipulated and controlled, man, through sorcery. And sorcery isn't always just some dark magic and just blow it in your face and now you're dizzy. You think you're in Taiwan somewhere trying to find your way out of a jungle. It's not always sorcery, man. Because what happened in the movie, what's that movie called? Get Out. But she was just talking to the brother. She banging on that damn glass. He's sitting up there getting dizzy. She putting him in a spell by just talking to him. Sometimes you could talk to somebody and manipulate their mind and have them to do exactly what you want them to do, man. That's America. From the time you were 2 years old till you knew what A, B, and C was, to the time that you grew 85 years old and died in this society, all you knew is what they taught you. All you knew is what they wanted you to eat. You don't know nothing about your culture, nothing about surviving off the land, nothing about ancient wear and our garments and our language. All you get manipulated to believe is what? Whatever they want to. And they feed that right to you. So America, the Lord is mocking America, man. Verse 12, the lion did tear in pieces enough for his whelps. I mean, America devoured multiple lands, multiple people, and heaped up treasures. And the lion did tear in pieces enough for his whelps, meaning his grandchildren. Like the Lord said, what? Prepare slaughter. But what? For the iniquity, man. And you got to prepare slaughter for his children. Because that lion, he tore in pieces enough for his whelps. And you read about that in Job, the 21st chapter, man. Don't just think America's wealth was just in the 1800s, man. Like when you read Daniel, the 7th chapter, and we got to get too deep into prophecy, where all of these different nations America took down, man. You read about these things. And that's why I like the Most High so much, because the Most High deal with prophecy, man. You have to deal with prophecy. Prophecy teaches you so much, man. It teaches you where you're going. It teaches you your past, where you came from, ancient wars, right? It prepares you for destruction on the earth. And it gives you an insight to be prepared when all hell breaks loose. Because the mind of a man that fears the Most High will reveal his secrets unto him and have him to what? Be prepared and know how to move in those days. It's the book of Job, right? Chapter 21 and verse 7, right? It says this. Wherefore do the wicked live, become old, yea, are mighty in power. And they're mighty in power. But the Most High is like, well, how do they live and grow and they're so mighty in power? They were mighty in power. Keyword, were. As we continue to march forth to the end of the world, everything happens. And I want to hold this, and I want to get this quick precept too, in the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 14. All right? I don't want to hold too many precepts, but I'm going to go back to Nahum. I want to finish Job 21, and I want to get 2nd Esdras, the 14th chapter, right through the Spirit. I want to get this real fast. The Lord said in the book of 2nd Esdras 14 and 10, for the world had lost his youth, and the times begin to wax old. Hey, brother, you're not a spring chicken anymore, man. Brother, you're 30-something years old. You're 40-something years old. Brother, you're 50-something years old. You're not how you used to be in high school. You're not doing a backflip off your car anymore, man. You're not jumping over your little brother anymore, man. And playing football in the streets and running with those fresh legs. You get old. Your mind starts to get dull. You're not as sharp as you used to be. Your body gets contemned and waxes feeble, and you start to inch forth and wax older like a garment. And so do empires. Empires is not going to continue to last. We're not talking about the Greeks no more, man. We're not talking about the ancient Greeks from 146 right all the way to 331, man. From the battle of Guatemala, we're not talking about them anymore. We're not talking about the Egyptian Empire. We're not talking about the Neo-Syrian Empire. We're not talking about all of these empires anymore, man. We damn sure ain't talking about Rome. We're not talking about the Roman Republic. We're not talking about the period of the kings, right? We're not talking about impartial Slovakia, the period of the kings, the Roman Republic, impartial Rome, Western Roman Empire, the Eastern Roman Empire. We're not talking about that anymore, man. Those days are finished. And America is the last ruling empire of our captivity. And we're not going to be talking about this, Lord willing, in the next 100 years, man. We're going to be rejoicing over the downfall of our enemies. It says, for the world had lost its youth, and the times begin to wax old. For the world is divided into 12 parts. It is during the time of what? Ezra, man. 400 something BC, 438. It says, and the 10 parts of it are gone already, man. So this sign is gone already. When you read the book of Acts, the 2nd chapter, right? It literally tells you, Peter said, these men aren't drunk as it is, right? This day at this hour. This is the prophet Joel. And then he quoted Joel, the 2nd chapter, verse 27 all the way down, chiefly 30, saying what, man? That they were prophesied in the last days. So Peter called during the time of Acts the last days, man. Check that out, man. Hey, Ezra's talking about the last days. What time must we be living in right now? Everything is on an uprise. You perceive it, you smell it, you feel it, your heart beating differently, man. Kyrie, right? You got so-called Kanye West coming out. You got all of these politicians. They're banning stuff. You got the Bibles. They're getting banned. All hell was breaking loose on the earth, man. You got the nerve to be slothful. You got the nerve not to want to read. You got the nerve to hate your brother. You got the nerve to carry on bitterness, a grudge, and wickedness. What you're basically saying is you want somebody to steal your crown and you want to die in the land of your oppressors. The Lord said, how happeneth, Israel, that thou art waxing old in thy enemy's land, man? I don't want to wax old here, man. When I see my forefathers, or I think about them rather, in the times that they were gray-haired and old, working in the field, and they died smitten by the sun, that's not the life I want to live. Because you're going to die at that plantation with no hope. You're going to die wherever you are in this captivity with the sun, which is affliction, in your modern day plantation without any hope. It says this, and there remaineth that which is after the half of the 10th part. Now, therefore, set thine house in order. Now it's time for everybody to be on fire. To set your house in order, your wives, your children. And essentially, your house is what? Your tabernacle, your vessel, your temple, your mind. Set it in order, man. Get all your affairs straight. Okay, I have to read, take care of the children, figure out a job, gotta work, gotta come home, then I gotta repeat. Maintaining good works, like it says in the book of Titus, chapter 3 and verse 14. And reprove thy people. Comfort such of them as being troubled now, and now renounce corruption, man. Let go from the mortal thoughts. What is mortal thoughts? Forgetting about prophecy, blending in the suffering of this life, caring about things that have nothing to do with your life and salvation. These are mortal wicked thoughts. Cast the burdens of man, put off now the weak nature. What does the Most High call your thoughts every day? Weak. What does he call you not being on fire? Weak. What does he call you not setting your house in order, reproving and teaching your people? He calls it weak, man. You not renouncing corruption when it comes to you, and you contending and bowing before it. That's a weak nature. Get your spirit together. This is the point. And set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste to flee from these times. It says this, haste to flee from these times. Hold on. I don't know if brothers could see that, man. Making sure brothers could see that. And set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste to flee from these times. What does it mean, haste? That means you have to get uncomfortable to get the kingdom. You have to haste the persecution. You have to haste to wicked cutting off world speech, man. You can't say, well, the channel got shut down, and I don't know, and the camps, and what are we going to do? No, this is prophecy coming to pass. The channels have to get shut down. The prophets have to be slain. The men have to be locked up. The world has to be in an uproar. There has to be wildfires. There has to be men cutting off the water supplies. All of these things have to come to pass. All praises to the Most High, because we're hasting to flee from these wicked times. For yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen shall be done hereafter. Meaning, brother, this is just the beginning, man. It's just the beginning of it, man. All of these things that we're seeing is just the beginning. It's the book of Job 21:7. It says, wherefore do the wicked live, become old, yet are mighty in power. Their seed is established, and their sight with them, and their offspring before their eyes. Their houses are safe from fear, neither is the rod of God upon them. So the Most High, it was a point in time where the so-called white man, it would feel like he was untouchable. He could do whatever he wanted to do. He could continue to grow and prosper, have wealth and land and gold and yachts and planes, drones, military might, strength, suits, power, all of these different things. They're bull gendereth. What it means they're bull, a bull in the ancient world was used for what? For strapping them up, carrying loads, breaking down the clods, hitting the fields, the wild asses, the donkeys, the bulls. They gendereth, meaning his military might, his strength, his society, his buildings, his money, his currency, all of the things at one point in time they used to gender, meaning they used to have these things working. He's building up his things on Wall Street and the buildings and all of the different diverse streets, right? I've never been a place where I haven't seen a street, man. You just driving for days, you get lost, you go on some other. Well, who the hell laid all of this damn street, man? We did. Think about that the next time you're in the middle of nowhere. How the hell I'm on the top of this mountain and it's a street going all the way up there? Our forefathers built it, man. And faileth not that cow claveth and casteth not her calves. Check this out. They send forth their little ones like a flock, and their children dance. So this place is in a state of mirth and once was. They take the timbrel and the harp and rejoice at the sound of the organ. They spend their days in wealth, and in a moment go down to the grave. Now we're living in the times, in the spirit rather of the earth, where America is now to inch forth into the grave. And America knows that, man. That's why they're trying to prolong the spirit of this nation to continue to prosper, man. Now let me bring this up. Some military officials are warning the United States is unprepared for a major war. It says what? Unprepared. So if you're unprepared for something, then that means what? It caught you off guard. We didn't know what was going on. You're sitting up there and Creepy Joe. Let me pull up Creepy Joe, man. Where is he at? Why this man? Look at this, man. Hold on. Why he's on the phone talking to God knows why, he's talking to a little boy on the phone. Look at him. This is who's leading the country, man. Creepy Joe. Right? And what kind of phone is that, man? Yeah, look at this fake picture, man. All right, what we're going to do, we're going to come in the room, right? Just look up like there's hope, like you're talking to China and everything's going to be all right. Look at this, man. Paperwork, he's confounded on his desk. He doesn't even know how to read. This man is finished, man. This place is finished. So Creepy Joe doesn't know what's going on. He's just laughing and trying to keep hope alive. The Lord is against him. It says in a moment they'll go down to the grave, man. In a moment, in a bat of an eye, they go down to the grave. Now, while Creepy Joe is in his office having fun on the phone with little boys or doing God knows what, talking to himself, this is what Chimpan, right, is doing. Now, he's the president of China. Now, while Creepy Joe was in the office with his cashmere Marshall sweater on, talking to somebody's nephew, you got the Chinese president. He's armed up on a physical level, man. When have you ever seen Creepy Joe? He got his damn gun and he got his military outfit on, and he's ready for war. That's the spirit of China, man. Now we know this man isn't physically going to be in the war, but he's ready. He's on fire on the left-hand side. This is present says China is unstable and uncertain security, right? It says China army to focus on preparing for war. Preparations for war. So you even got your damn president armed up for war, man. He done laced his boots up. He put on his army gear. He can't even see straight. Probably got some type of invisible latch to hold his back up. The crank is back. The crank is back because his back is stiff. So he can stand up straight for the picture, man. While he's doing autographs and kissing babies and telling everybody everything is all right, these different nations, they have a different spirit behind them, man. Let me read this. It says, the president has told the People's Liberation Army to focus all its energy on fighting and preparing, so like for preparations for war. A Chinese Communist Party mouthpiece has reported pictures of XI, who recently secured a third term as a party leader in his army uniform during a visit of a command featured predominantly on the front page of the People's Daily on Wednesday. The army must, comprehensively strengthen military training and preparation for war, having warned at the recent party congress of dangerous storms on the horizon. So his mind is different, man. He's thinking about dangerous storms on the horizon while Creepy Joe is on the phone, man. He's just on the phone smiling. So if I was an American and I was lost in the world, this is what I would have to look up to, man. His finger on the walkie-talkie and his hand onto the phone, man. Looking up in the daze. Even he's drunk. Right, let me go back to it. And I wanted to play this video.
In Ukraine extremely closely. I mean, they devoted a lot of time and energy and resources to studying the collapse of the Soviet Union, what happened there. It's something that ideologically, for Xi, is something he still feels as a sort of political trauma, you could say. However, I think China's decisions about Taiwan are quite separate from Ukraine in a way. And Ukraine might have given them pause for thought, but there's increasing evidence that certainly and unfortunately some kind of military invasion is very much a possibility. At the opening of the 20th Communist Party Congress, I would say his tone was quite aggressive. He was very triumphalist about the
tone is quite aggressive.
Effective takeover of Hong Kong, which he's overseen. And then turning to Taiwan, he said,
国家统一、民族复兴的历史车轮滚滚向前。
The day after he spoke, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that China had made a decision to seize Taiwan, quotes, on a much faster timeline.
And if.
So essentially, if you don't know what's going on, you may ask yourself or think to yourself, rather, that this thing is just going to be a hamster on the wheel. But what's actually going on is these men are playing chess, man. When you got your pawn, right, then you got your rook, you got your knight, you got your queen, you got your king, and you strategically try to figure out how you're going to take them down with the avenues of how they cross. Okay, I have my knight, make that little L shape. Okay, my queen can go all over here. No, my pawn, he only could go one step. They're sitting up here figuring out and gathering together relations, policies, strengthening war, creating a military might, getting things seasoned and ready to take down America, man. And that's just like with any creature. Let me get this. Let me see if I can pull it up to show you what I mean. Now, when a lion wants to attack, the lion doesn't just run and attack, man. He starts to pounce. Let me see if I could pull something real fast. But I mean, you have a such thing as pouncing. So lucky, bear with me. Pouncing. Like a lion pouncing. And let me see. Let me see if I can get this quick little video.
She's gonna eat Taylor.
See, now they just watching. Now, if this was China and America, then you would say, well, oh, it's just, no, China's eyes are on America, man. They're trying to get these things together.
Look at her.
Blossom, come here, Blossom, come here. Hurry.
She wants to eat Taylor. Oh my god, she's gonna eat her.
The lion's coming up to Baylor.
And they come slow. It happens like a thief in the night. Look, and she turned away. And it's spiritual, this video. Because while you sitting up in here thinking it's going to take forever to come to pass, you get pounced on. You get attacked. See that? And then it's a wrap. Right when she turned away. Look at that. That was spiritual. Right when the heathen turned away, man. Right when Esau turned away. Whoa, it's a wrap. Let me watch that again. And then it would have been over. Let's go back to Habakkuk. Salaki, let's go back to Nahum. Right? Now, this is the book of Nahum, chapter 2, and verse number 12. The lion did tear in pieces enough for his whelps. Meaning America had its run. It had its money, its military might. It had its strength. And it did tear and built up the society, as it says in the book of Malachi, man. They built, but I will throw down, man. The Lord's throwing down this place. And yet they build by the hands of the Israelites. Let me get the classic in the book of Malachi. It's the book of Malachi, chapter 1 and verse number 3. It says this, and I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. And that's spiritual. Because from the foundation all the way from the time of Genesis, he's supposed to be laid waste. But he neglected his heritage and took on other heritages, took on other land masses, because his portion was cursed. So he took on the Israelites. He took on the Jew. He took on all of these diverse things, lived in different land masses. He invaded the Etruscans and went up into Italy, man, and took down that land mass, man, and revolted against the Israelites, man. So essentially, this man is supposed to be taken down and destroyed. Right, let me get this quick thing. Let me get this quick precept, and I'm going to come back to that. Matter of fact, yeah, I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to come back to Malachi. Let's go to the book, right? Of 2 Kings, chapter 8 and verse 20. The 2 Kings, chapter 8 and verse 20. Because Esau is supposed to have been laid waste, man. It's the book of 2 Kings 8 and 20. And it reads, I'm going to start at 20. It says, in his days, Edom revolted under the hand of Judah. Because from the time of David, we had them in a captivity. We literally locked them up in prison cells, man. And made a king over themselves. So Edom revolted, you understand, under the hand, like we're reading about, of these kings, man. Now, nevertheless, they made themselves kings It says, so Joram went over to Zaza and all the chariots with him, and he rose by night and smote the Edomites, which compassed him about, and the captains of the chariots, and the people fled into their tents. Yet Edom revolted under the hand of Judah until this day. So until this day, these things are going on. That's from Jehoram around 853 BC, man. They revolted. And from then on out, they built, and they started to conquer. They started to lead. They started to come into power over time. And Libna revolted at the same time. So from about 853 BC all the way out, you understand, essentially around there, Edom started to revolt and they built it up. Now, from there on out, the Most High said, look, you may build, but I'm going to throw down, man. Let's go back to it in Malachi. You may revolt. You may feel like you want power. You feel like you hid your identity and what it was. But the Most High got your number, man. Let me get that in Malachi. Right? It's the book of Malachi chapter 1. Let me get that again. Right? Verse, Salakia, in verse 3. I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Wherein Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord have indignation forever. So the Lord hates them forever, man. Now, when you go into it, right? Salaki, bear with me. When you go into this thing, I'm going to pull it up. And I want to get this quick precept. Let's go to the book of Job, right, chapter 34. It's the book of Job, chapter 34. And I'm going to start at 21. It's the book of Job, chapter 34, and verse number 21. And it reads, it says, for his eyes are upon the ways of man, and he seeth all his goings. So the Most High sees all the goings of man. There is no darkness nor shadow of death where the workers of iniquity may hide themselves. And they may hide themselves with what they put on TV. They may hide themselves in their nationality. They may hide themselves in the sorcery and the things that they do. For he will not lay upon man more than is right, that he should enter into judgment with God. He shall break in pieces mighty men without number, and set others in their stead, man. And what are others that's going to be set in their stead? Now you got so-called America, right? They got their allies, right? And then they have their so-called enemies. But with America, nobody's going to be able to help you. When you read Jeremiah chapter 46, you have alliances and leagues, and the book of Joshua, the 9th chapter, you know, the book of 2nd Chronicles, the 16th chapter, and various other precepts that go into leagues in the scriptures. You can go into the book of 1st Maccabees, the 8th chapter, where the Romans tried to make a league with what? With Judas Maccabeus in them. So you have leagues and confederacies all throughout the Bible. Now you have America's allies. You have Canada, India, Ireland, Brazil, Germany, Spain, Italy, and on Cambodia, Indonesia, and so forth. And then you have their enemies. Now the enemy list is long, man. We don't have to go into it. But Russia, North Korea, China, Libya, Sudan, Arabia, right? South Sudan, right? They fight damn Yemen. They're going to war with them the whole earth, man. And the Northern Hemisphere is going to raise up against them and destroy them. Let me get this quick precept, man. Let me pull this quick precept. Let's go to 2nd Chronicles. Matter of fact, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 46. Let's get straight to the point, man. This is Jeremiah chapter 46. Now, in the ancient battle of Carchemish, We had Josiah, Pharaoh Necho, Nebuchadnezzar, and various other people, right, that came up to wage war around about 605 BC. And this is an ancient war that actually happened in the Bible. You could pull up in history, and it's in the scriptures in Jeremiah 46, First Esdras, the first chapter, and various other precepts in the Kings and Chronicles. But nevertheless, twofold in the spirit, as you read Ezekiel, Isaiah, Jeremiah, and various other breakdowns and prophecy, as well as common things that actually happen in history with kings and allegiance, is twofold, man. Now, this is what the Lord said. I'm going to read verse 2 and then we jumping down, right? It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 46, and I'm going to start at verse 2. Against Egypt, against the army of Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt, which was by the river Euphrates and Carchemish, which Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, smote in the 4th year, Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah. Because Josiah went up to fight, right, in the war, and Nebuchadnezzar, right, took down Jehoiakim, 2 Kings 24, all the way down 25, we know, right through the spirit. Nevertheless, jumping to verse 4, harness the horses and get up, ye horsemen, and stand forth with your helmets. Furbish the spears and put on the burgundians. Wherefore have I seen them dismayed and turned away back, and their mighty ones are beaten down, and are fled a space, and look not back, for fear was round about, saith the Lord. Let not the swift flee, nor the mighty men escape. They shall stumble and fall forward, like it toward the north by the river Euphrates. Who is this that cometh up as a flood, whose waters are moved as the rivers? So the Lord said, look, it's a battle going on. You got Pharaoh Necho, right? You got literally Nebuchadnezzar, which some say in history is his father. But when you go into the scriptures, it says Nebuchadnezzar came into power 605 BC, right? Who is this fighting? Who's coming up with the Confederacy? Because they even have that in the scriptures. Don't think Cisco and all these allegiance and all of these different sets is something new. This is in the Bible, man. It says, come up, ye horses, and rage ye chariots. Let the mighty men come forth, the Ethiopians and the Libyans that handle the shield. Where's the account of them having anything to do with anything? There isn't. They're Confederate. Meaning once they're going to war, Egypt is grabbing Ethiopia and Libyans along with them to fight. The same thing is going to happen in America. When they go forth to war, or when Taiwan goes to war, they're bringing America. When Ukraine goes to war, they're bringing America. That's how this thing works, man. It says, come up, ye horses, and rage ye chariots, and let the mighty men come forth. The Ethiopians and the Libyans that handle the shield, and the Libyans that handle the bow. So like the bent, the bow. For this is the day of the Lord of hosts, the day of vengeance, that he may avenge him of his adversaries, and the sword shall devour, and it shall be a state, and made drunk with their blood. For the Lord of hosts had a sacrifice in the north country by the river Euphrates. I'm going to read that last part again because that's spiritual. Where's the Lord's sacrifice? By the river Euphrates. What's drying up right now, man? Where the kings of the east going to travel through? On a spiritual level, on a physical level. Where are those angels bound at, man? The river Euphrates. Was prophesied to be destroyed all the way from the time of Jeremiah, which actually happened, and the time of Isaiah, which actually happened, to twofold happening again. Babylon, man. The north country. This place is finished. It says, for the Lord of hosts have a sacrifice in the north country by the river Euphrates. And that actually happened, man. This place actually got taken down. Read about that in the book of Isaiah, right? A battle of Opis, right? The Babylonian Empire got taken down. Nevertheless, the Lord's going to have another sacrifice. And it's going to be the North Country. This is the North Country. This is North America. This place is getting taken down, man. And spiritually by what? By the river Euphrates. Let's go into it. Let's go to the book of Revelation. So don't think America is going to continue to last forever, man. Let's go to Revelation chapter 16. verse number 11. And it reads, and blaspheme God of heaven because of their pains. So a lot of people, because of their pains and their manipulations and their afflictions, they will beseech the Lord out of them. Like Manasseh. When you read Second Chronicles 33, he was catching hails and chains, right? 33 and 10 all the way down. He besought the Lord. The Lord took him out of that. And then he had what? The prayer of Manasseh. Because Manasseh was doing all type of witchcraft. He was going to hell. He was being evil, dealing with sorceries, witchcraft, and all manner of evilness. And what did he do? He besought the Lord in his pains, and the Lord delivered him out of that. But the so-called white man, he's going to get afflicted, lose his money. He's going to lose his currency. He's going to lose everything he has. And in all his pains, he's not going to repent. He's going to blaspheme the Most High and continue to heap on more wood upon that fire for those sacrifices in the land of Egypt to those strange gods, man. It says this, because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates. So the great river Euphrates is spiritual, man, right? So from that time in the ancient world to the time now, it's a spirit in that land. And the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared, man. And the kings of the east are preparing themselves. They're getting ready as we speak. As we're doing lives on the right-hand side, they're doing lives on the left-hand side. We're sitting up here praying and reading. They're drawing up architectural work and different missiles and different tanks and different things to attack the enemies, man. So they literally do what? They blaspheme God, man, when they're going through their tribulations and pains. That's the pride of the so-called white man. Let me get this quick precept in 2 Maccabees, chapter 9. This 2 Maccabees, chapter 9, and verse, I'm going to start at 4. It says this. Then swelling with anger, he thought to avenge upon the Jews with disgrace done unto him by those that made him flee. Therefore commanded he his chariotmen to drive without ceasing, and to dispatch the journey, the judgment of God now following him. So what's the mind of the so-called white man as he's trying to go take down us, Jerusalem, to destroy us? The judgment of God following him. And that's spiritual, man. It says while this man was thinking about vengeance and thinking about war, the judgment of the Most High God, Yahweh, Bashima Mashiach Malak Yahweh Shadow Righteous, was following him. What's following you, man? Is it a demon? Is it a spirit of denial, delusion? Is it envy? Is it strife? Is it bitterness? Is it wrath? Is it hatred? Is it slothfulness? Is it a delusion of Egypt, man? What's following you? Is it a judgment? Because we know what's following the so-called white man, the Most High and his judgments. And what follows you is like a shadow. It's the inevitable. It's going to creep on you. For he had spoken proudly in this sort, that he would come to Jerusalem to make it a common burying place of the Jews. But the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, smote him with an incurable and invisible plague. Or as soon as he had spoken these words, a pain from the bowels was remediless, came upon him, and sore torments of the inner parts. So the Most High started breaking down the so-called white man. And this is spiritual. Because while he's in his pride, he's thinking about war. He's thinking about death. He's thinking about vengeance. The spirit of the Most High is following him and breaking him down slowly. America isn't going to be destroyed and you wake up and everything's just happening in 1 second. No, it's slowly being broken down. Like this man's body, man. He slowly got broken down in his bowels. He got tormented. He couldn't breathe. He stopped walking. He fell off his horse. All of these things slowly happen, man. It says this, and that most justly, for he had tormented other men's bowels with many strange torments. And that's, we can't say certain things on YouTube, but we know what that is, man. We know the so-called white man's fetishes. It says, and that most justly, he had tormented other man's bowels. And we know what that means. with many strange torments. Howbeit, this is the point, howbeit he nothing at all ceased from his bragging. Meaning, even in his lower state, even in his mad bowels, his yearning and gushing out and breaking down, and he can't breathe and he can't call for help, he still wouldn't cease from his bragging. And that's spiritual. Because no matter how low the so-called white man get, his US dollar drops, every nation is coming up against him, he's still going to wage war. He's still going to cuss out the Most High. He's still going to brag and boast of his greatness and his power, man. As he has some God complex. Howbeit, he nothing at all ceased from his bragging, but still was filled with pride. Who's more prideful than the so-called white man, man? Let me get this quick precept in Obadiah. Hey, the Lord said, thy pride have deceived thee. And that literally has deceived him. I mean, you can have a man with a so-called, I don't know. He has a so-called 45. Just walking around proud because he know what he could so-called do. And their military has deceived them. Their might has deceived them. It's the book of Obadiah, chapter 1 and verse 3. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. Anybody with common sense would know they can't beat certain things and win certain wars. Hey, the Lord said in the book, right? I don't want to pull too many precepts. I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to get the book of John, chapter 14, right? And verse 28. Real fast. Matter of fact, Salakia. Let me get this quick precept. I want Luke. It's the book of Luke, chapter 14, and verse 28. And it reads, it says this, for which of you intending to build a tower sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish? Jumping down to 31. Or what king going to war, to make war against another king, sitteth not down first and consulteth whether he will be able with 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him with 20,000. The Lord is asking the question, what man is going to go to war and know he can't win, and know he can't win? The so-called white man, because of his pride. He doesn't care. He's raging. He's going to confederate himself with his councils, and he's going to go forth to war, man. Now, America knows they can't take down China. You got the president dressed up, ready for war. He's not even going to go to war. He's sending a message. But yet America, with Creepy Joe on the phone, talking to somebody's nephew, right about God knows what, man, is sitting up there not consulting whether he could really take down. Because he know he can. Because China, Russia, right, all these different nations that are power, right, that you read about in prophecy in 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter, and in 2nd Esdras, the 11th chapter and 12th chapter, going into Russia in different parts of Revelation, the 17th chapter, they were in prophecy. And they're going to take down America, man. But yet he doesn't consult it because of his pride. The Lord says, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. Thou that dwelleth in the cleft of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? And that who is even talking about the Most High. Because he knows the judgment of the Most High is following him. He knows the prophecies. He watches the channels, man. He got a time schedule. He may have the president, then you go past the president, then you got the elites, right? You digging in the elites, and the elites have a time schedule. Don't think the elites are just too busy. They never get on YouTube. They don't know what's going on. They're just creepy white men in a dungeon all day, casting power and blowing it in the air. No, they know what's going on, man. The same way we're watching the left-hand side to amount and figure out what's going on with the wars, the different nations, the different presidencies, the votings, the blood moons. We're trying to figure out things and link them up. The same way they're doing the same thing, man. They're watching the channels. They're watching the prophets. They're going into these things. They got agent provocateurs coming out there provoking the men wearing shades, trying to manipulate the situation in the far back, recording. right? All of these things are happening, man. You got agents unaware. So they know what's going on, man. They know brothers' faces. They know brothers' camps. They know leaders of congregations. They have them on a bulletin board, and they're slowly awaiting for all hell to break loose for the right moment and the right time to push the persecution of the saints. And they're going to kill and behead the men that you've been watching on these different channels, man, in front of you. It says this, howbeit he nothing at all sees from his bragging, but still was filled with pride, breathing out fire in his rage against the Jews, and commanding the haste the journey. But it came to pass that he fell down from his chariot. And that's spiritual. Did not the Lord say what? In the book of Isaiah, chapter 14 and verse 12? You're going to fall down, man. Fall, O Lucifer, man, son of the morning. And he fell from his chariot when he was bragging in the midst of his pride. And in the midst of the so-called white man's pride in America, he's going to fall. It's the book of Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven? Didn't it say the so-called white man, he fell from his chariot? What is a chariot in the ancient world? That was the high place where the kings rode upon. Didn't not Eliezer say that in the book of First Maccabees, the 6th chapter? It says, O Lucifer, son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? So it says he fell down from his chariot, carried violently, so that having a sore fall. See that? It's spiritual. All the members of his body were much pain. So this man got what, man? Check this out. Verse 8. It says, and thus he did that a little afore thought he might command the waves of the sea. So proud was he beyond the condition of men. It says he was so proud beyond the condition of men. He was the proudest. And weight the high mountains in the balance, was now cast on the ground and carried in a holster, shewing forth into all the manifestation power of God. Meaning the Lord, he'll take down the kings. He'll take down the generals. He'll take down the captains. He'll take down the elite, man. We serving an ancient God of Israel. Yahweh is his name, man. And Yahweh Shah is his son's name. And Yahweh Shah is coming with vengeance, destruction. The Lord's going to come and destroy this place, man. Leaping upon mountains. The Lord is a man of war. Yahweh is his name. Showing forth unto all the manifestation. It's like your power of God. Meaning the Lord is going to raise up. We feel like the Lord's sitting on his throne. He's relaxed. He's chill. It tells you he walks in the circuits of heaven in the book of Job, man. And the Lord stands up, man. You read about that in Amos, the 9th chapter, man. The Lord is about to come back. And the brothers are watching and staying awake and not falling back to sleep, back in their understanding, back in their folly and slothfulness. The Lord is going to destroy you right along with the wicked, man. It's the book of Amos, chapter 9 and verse 1. And I saw the Lord standing upon the altar. So the Lord don't just sit down all day, man. The Lord's not just sitting like a statue. Stop painting the Lord like he's Abraham Lincoln, man, at the Abraham Lincoln Memorial. Hey, the Lord is busy, man. He's working. He has having councils with the angels, coming up together, sending them out for diverse things. Destruction, healing, protection, bounding different angels to certain parts of the earth, shaking up the elements. Hey, Florida's suffering a hurricane right now, man. Who is the hand of that? The Most High. And he says, smite the lintel of the door, that the posts may shake, and cut them in the head of all them, and I will slay the last of them with the sword. And he that fleeth of them shall not flee away, and he that escapeth of them shall not be delivered. Though he dig into hell, and that's spiritual, man. Because you may dig, hell is nothing more than a grave, Shiloh or Hades, in the Hebrew or the Greek. Then shall my hand take them, huh? So you can't dig nowhere for the Most High not to find you. Your pride, your lies, your ancestors slaying our ancestors' blood, all of this is weighed in America. And there's no way you can escape. Though they dig into hell, then shall my hand take them. Your underground bunkers, though they climb up to heaven. Man, you might be where the firmament is. your fighter jets, your different men with these Air Force planes and helicopters. Thence will I bring them down. Though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, the different parts of the earth, maybe islands, maybe mountains, I will search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight, meaning God knows where, sitting up there, you got different men, they're underwater, man, where you may not can see them. You have so-called, they have movies and things where they have underground civilizations, man. In the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them, man. So the Most High is on his way, and the Most High is going to destroy America. All right, let me bring out these closing precepts. Let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 18. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 18, and verse number 8. It says, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning. So you're going to have different nations. They're going to be mourning over America by all of their trade and the money that they're going to lose by them going down. But it's all parabolic. It says, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord Yahweh, who judgeth her. And the kings of the earth, who have committed fornication, and live deliciously with her, shall bewail her, and lament for her, when they shall see the smoke of her burning. Let's get the book of Isaiah, chapter 42 and verse 13. It's one of my favorite scriptures in the whole Bible. Top 3. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 42 and verse 13. And it reads, the Lord shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war. So the Most High is stirring up all of the jealousy, man. You don't think the Most High is jealous of the estate that his people in? That you made them worship false apostles, false idols, false imagery, lies, manipulation. If you have a wife, you get jealous over your wife, man. You don't want your wife doing God knows what and looking at this and looking over here. And you might get jealous. It was a law of jealousy in the book of Numbers. You understand? 5 and 11. You got literally the law. The Lord will put a spirit on a man for him to bring her before the priest to figure out if she defiled the marriage. Jealousy is a spiritual thing, man. And the Lord said he's jealous in the book of Nahum, chapter 1 and verse 2. Let me get this quick precept. And the Lord is jealous, man. And the fire of his jealousy will soon be known on the earth, man. It's the book of Nahum, chapter 1 and verse 2. God is jealous, and the Lord revengeth. The Lord revengeth and is furious. The Lord will take vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserveth wrath for his enemies. So the Most High right now, he's jealous. And the Lord said what? He stirreth up jealousy, meaning that's that fury, that's that anger, that's that wrath, like a man of war. He shall cry, yea, roar. Because he's the lion that you read about in 2nd Esdras, chapter 11. Huh? He shall prevail against his enemies. I have long time holding my peace. And when you actually think of how wicked things are on this earth, you're like, damn, well, can they get even worse? Can they get even more wicked? Can they even wax worse than they're already waxing, man? And the Lord said he long time hold this peace. Now, when you get upset with yourself or your wife or your child, or you get upset at the workplace, you get upset with your friend, you may be patient. You may let it go. But maybe the second, third time you may say something. Hey, the Most High is not mad. The Most High has seen the transatlantic slave trade, the sub-Saharan slave trade, the Silk Road slave trade. He's seen us build the Great Wall of China. The Lord has seen them destroy Black Wall Street. The Lord have seen us being so-called pickaninnies and all these different names, belly warmers in the night, getting raped, men and women, back break, butt raped, all manner of religion, and scalded into our minds. And the Most High is holding his peace. So when he finally raises up, he has a whole lot of vengeance and bloodshed and recompense that he has to deliver to this demonic nation, man. You have to understand how serious this is. Now, if somebody keep tapping your shoe or keep poking you, Or your child like, mom, 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 mom. And you ignore. And she's like, mom, mom. You might say, what? Or somebody saying, dad, dad, dad. And the kid kicking you, dad, dad. Just keep kicking you. You're sitting up there, hold on. I'm on the phone. Dad, dad, dad. You might pop him in the mouth, man. Because that reaction from holding on, hey, Job even said it, man. He said, I'm like bottles of wine ready to burst. I cannot obtain myself. Or hold it in, rather, in the book of Job. And I'm paraphrasing greatly. So the Most High said, I have a long time holding my peace, man. I have been still and refrain myself. Matter of fact, I got to get one more precept. Let's go to the book of Revelation 16, man. Because the Lord has seen these things, man. You read about that in Second Esdras, right? The first chapter, verse 32 all the way down. Revelation, the 16th chapter, man. Right? Let me get this real fast. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 16 and 6. But they have shed the blood of saints and prophets. Now it says saints and prophets, because women are going to be destroyed too. Women are going to be beheaded too. Women are going to be whooped and beaten to deny the Lord too. This isn't just a man thing. And the women just watch from the sidelines, like in the ancient world, while the man is getting beat with the sponge when the master leaves to pat the damn head, man. But they're going to get strung up too. These things are going to happen to the women. It's going to happen to the saints, the men and women and children, and the prophets. And thou hast given them blood to drink, but they are worthy. That's the same thing the Lord said in the book of Isaiah chapter 49 and verse 23, man, all the way down, man. And the Lord said, paraphrasing greatly, they're going to drink of their own blood. It says, and I heard another out of the altar say, even so, Lord God Almighty, true and righteous are thy judgments. So don't say we're a hate group. Don't say you hate everybody. God doesn't hate. Right? I'm tired of these Israelites with these damn doctrines, man. Hey, take it up with the Most High. The Most High is going to use us as what? As a sword, as a battle axe. And the Lord said, true and righteous are thy judgments. So death is a righteous judgment. War is a righteous judgment. Robbing them as they robbed us and laughing at their downfall as they laughed at us, man. And the Lord said, double unto the cup that she have given us, man. A double unto her. Back to the book of Isaiah, chapter 42, and verse 14. It says, I have long time holding my peace. I have been still and refrained myself. Now will I cry like a travailing woman. I will destroy and devour at once. So when the Most High raises up through his son, Yahushua, and he visits the earth, you're going to have nothing but death and recompense and vengeance to answer for. Right? I'm going to get two more and I'm going to close out. Let me get the book of Second Esdras, chapter 1 and verse 32. It's the book of Second Esdras, chapter 1 and verse number 32, and it reads, I sent unto you my servants the prophets, whom ye have taken and slain, and torn their bodies in pieces, man. Our bodies got torn into pieces, and they're going to get torn in pieces again. Get ready for martyrdom, man. Get ready for the hour of temptation. Get ready to understand why you were created. To serve your creator and God and King, Yahushua the righteous, by his heavenly Father, Yahweh himself, and to get ready to serve and lay down your life for your brethren and your nation, and to die and receive your crown. You understand? Living in the last days. Whose blood I will require at your hands, saith the Lord, man. That's plain. So you got blood to answer for, and you can't cover it up like you did in the ancient world. Like it says in the book of Genesis, the 4th chapter, his blood crieth unto me from the ground, man. So the blood of our forefathers that are in the sea, in the dust, in the dirt, right, in clothes that have been washed, that are in museums, is crying unto the Most High, which essentially is the prophets, the elders, and the men in the third heaven in their chambers beseeching the Most High. You understand? How long shall we hope on this fashion? When cometh the fruit of our reward? Like Ezra said in the book of 2nd Esdras, man. So these are the things that we have to understand. Let me get the book of Revelation, chapter 3 and verse 2. I'm going to close out with that. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 3, right, and verse number 2. And it reads, be watchful and strengthen the things which remain. So you have to be watchful in what's going on in the earth. This isn't something that the Most High is giving advice on. This is a commandment. You have to be watchful. It may seem strenuous sometimes. You got children, you got a job, you got to read, you got to teach, you got to counsel, you got to do 1,000,000 quadrillion things, man. You got to eat, you got to wash, you got to figure out what you're going to do next week, right? If it be the Most High's mercy. But one thing you have to fit into your schedule is watching. That's men and women. And strengthen the things which remain. So whatever remains in your body and your vessel, strengthen that up. Your prayer life, your fasting, right? Your brotherly love. Maybe you need to strengthen how you treat, you understand, the church. Are you involved? Are you giving alms? Are you bitter? Are you waxing worse? What do you need examination in? What do you need to strengthen? That are ready to die. So something on you every day spiritually is ready to die. I mean, constantly. Your lack of understanding and geography, that may be escaping you. Your Hebrew, you understand? Your prophecy, remembering precepts, how you treat your wife, how you treat your husband, the love that you have and compassion that you need to be studying the fruits of the Spirit. Something's escaping you every day. And you have to perceive and strengthen that up. For I have not found thy works perfect before Yahweh. It says this, remember therefore how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast, and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come unto thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. So the Most High says, if you're not watching, he's going to come unto you like a thief, man. You're not going to know what hour the Most High is going to come upon you, man. It could be the middle of the night. It could be right after this live. It could be tomorrow. It could be next week, right? It could be next month. But the Most High is not a man that he should lie. And he is going to visit you, man, like a thief. You better be prepared and you better be watching. And you better be ready to die for the Most High and maintain integrity and fight until the end. And with that, what I'm about to close out, give all honor and glory to the Most High God, the King, Yahweh, Ba'Shema Mashiach Malak Yahushua, Shalom.